Welcome to Cohesive Friendship Unit. I am Chris. I'm with Brian,
What's going on?
Jake,
Hey guys.
and Jeremy.
Yo, what's up?
Guys, I might have to buy a VR headset again for like the fourth fucking time in my life because No Man's Sky Beyond was announced. It's apparently a couple big updates rolled into one. We know vaguely of one and hard of the second. The first being a very expanded, robust online component, and that's the vague one that we know. And the serious one we know is that No Man's Sky is getting full VR support for HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, and PlayStation VR. And we're going to talk all about it, and maybe even talk about what that last thing that we don't know about is. But first, we're doing a giveaway. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel. Every 10 subscriptions, we give away a Steam code to a random subscriber. We appreciate your support, so if you want to hit that sub, hit that bell, let's get going. All right, guys. No Man's Sky. Let's start with VR. Let's start with VR. No Man's Sky is coming to VR.
I'm pumped. But also, Chris, I think you're the only one that's done like a significant amount of VR
Yeah,
out of the four of us.
probably.
So
I made
I don't
Jeremy
know.
throw up once with VR, though.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah,
that's
I hate it. I
that's the
hated it.
biggest thing I'm wondering about is I haven't done VR, but I've heard that's a big concern for a lot of people is like the nausea, and there's a lot of walking around in No Man's Sky. So I'm
And
wondering how
flying.
they're going to handle the movement.
I think we're at the point in VR. I mean, I think they're going to have different locomotion methods. Like, they're going to have teleporting and stuff. But I think we're at the point in VR where it's like, you just got to, like, I think we've all hit that, like, consensus where you just got to tough it out and you got to get your VR legs, and it takes time and it sucks. But, like, for people, like, I mean, think, Jake, Borderlands 2 is in VR. Can you, like, that's
Right.
way more jarring than No Man's Sky.
That's fair.
But no, dude, this is my wet dream. Like, I remember there was a podcast I used to listen to, like on coming up to the launch of No Man's Sky, and everyone was like just drooling over like the, you know, like at the time it was just impossible that it would come to VR, but everyone's like, oh, this game would be so sick in VR. I think it would be like, I mean, you literally have a universe to explore.
Yeah, like it's kind of set up for VR, like conceptually. You know, it doesn't. There's not really a whole lot to the gameplay beyond exploration, which is something that works really well in like a VR. Like
Like,
those
that's
VR
enhanced in
games,
VR.
right? Like you wouldn't want to play normally. You wouldn't want to play a game about like being in a kitchen where you can open the drawers and shit like that.
Or would
But
you?
like, no, but there's like people like IKEA made a game where you're in the kitchen and you can just like view their products and shit. And people like there's people playing it on YouTube. Like, you know, it's the point of the. It seems like the game is just like set up for
Yeah.
VR, and
When-
it's been
when
waiting
being
for
shit
this.
is fun in VR.
Right.
And like think
Right.
like I don't know if you get like there's gonna be a trailer playing in the video, but like you use your like these are the little things that like kind of sucks, and not sucks, but is like not flushed out in No Man's Sky, but would work in VR. They let you like use the flight sticks and flight controls in the ship. Like they added ways for you to like grab thrusters and stuff, and for the submarine and for the rovers, you get to like drive those and actually like, you know, touch things and can use controls. And like that's the kind of stuff that like for something that's kind of shallow in No Man's Sky would be pretty fun in VR to do.
Right.
Yeah, or even just like walking around and looking at all the weird shit, like finding weird creatures or plants or something like that. It's more interesting than I'm sitting in front of my screen, like doing the same thing, and it pretty much feels like what I did 25 minutes ago. Like with VR, you get that interest factor that I feel like the game still kind of lacks. Like I haven't played it in a while. I've been thinking about going back to it now that
You
it's
have a
been
reason soon.
right. But you know, it's always been something that's like, okay, I'm looking at some rocks, and you know, there's not that much variance to it. With VR, like at least there's some novelty factor to it, and it becomes more interesting, I think.
I think since the game is like almost entirely visual, the pairing makes a lot of sense. Like almost all of the interest of the game is just looking at like, oh, that's a purple sky, that's a big dinosaur, that's a small like elephant thing. And so
Well,
like that novelty I think will come through more strongly with the VR.
and but like the whole story of the game, just like the meta with VR would be deep.
Oh, the meta would be
The meta would be
meta.
so deep, dude.
So the thing that kind of I kind of think that this has the potential to almost be a system seller for VR, depending on how well it's implemented.
I was
Because
gonna say that.
yeah, because like just looking at of the four of us, three of us have put approaching 100 hours into this game, and the one of us, Jeremy, who was less into No Man's Sky, still put a considerable number of hours into it. This is like and
I played for like 60 hours.
that's what I'm saying. Like, you still put a lot of hours, and like this is the kind of game that's like big. It has multiplayer, and it's infinite. Like, you could spend infinite time in it. Whereas a lot of criticism on VR is the experiences are short, narrow, and like small in scope.
And on the system seller point, so I think we mentioned that this is going to be part 2 of the 3-part Beyond update that's coming. And the first part is supposedly a rather big update to the online experience. So they're definitely going towards the social. They specifically say it's not an MMO experience, but it seems like they're going towards the area where you can just kind of hang out with friends and explore, and maybe actually do some stuff together, which we haven't been able to do up to this point.
I mean, yeah, it seems like they're just gonna fix, based on like how it reads, it's gonna be like a bigger multiplayer world, not just 4 people, and it's gonna be like fixed.
Right, so you might actually be able to do stuff in the game besides walk around and look at rocks. So I definitely think this could be a system seller.
Well, and I
and anyone that doesn't have VR gets to play with friends that do have VR, which is very cool.
And that's important too, because if you segregate it, like, you're creating 2 separate markets for the same game. So you're just dividing your online market in half. I think that's another market that this game really hasn't tapped, or it's a potential that this game has that it hasn't tapped, because there's no point in like discovering something if you're the only person, or like 4 other people know that you discovered it. You know, like you kind of want it to have a more global, like with the expanse of the game and the scale of the game, you want the things that you're doing to have kind of an effect, and that hasn't really been there. Like, if it's more multiplayer and you're interacting with other people, and it just makes the world more immersive, which helps the whole exploration aspect of it. And that, like, the multiplayer flat out still hasn't worked. Like, I think, I'm hoping that it's going to be a pretty significant revamp of that.
Yeah. To be fair, it's mostly the missions that doesn't, like, just straight up doesn't work.
Right.
Well, the missions and the fact that, like, you can't really interact with other people outside of your, like, little cluster,
Yeah.
unless you put in significant efforts.
And there's not much to do besides, like, you can't build much with your friends. They're still working on that, and besides the mission, there's not a lot to do.
Right, and the missions are like the same 3 things over and over and over again, and they're all broken.
Right.
And fundamentally, they're all go to this place, and sometimes you have to shoot a bad guy.
Right. I seriously hope they make some updates to the combat as part of this
I
update.
agree.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that, like, mystery third thing, since we seem to be getting a little critical on, like, mission variety and combat. What do we want for this last pillar?
That's what I would want. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I would say that would probably be rolled into the multiplayer thing. Like, it'd be improved multiplayer missions and stuff like that. I think the third thing's going to be some improvement to the vehicles or the ships. Like, you were saying that you're going to be able to, like, interact with the controls and stuff like that in VR.
At least in VR, yeah.
So I would expect that there'd be some extension of that to non-VR as well, because it's like you guys said at the beginning of the video, there's a significant audience that will never adopt VR because it makes them sick to their stomach, like,
Or don't want to go through the process of
right, like there's some
doing it.
people that are never going to buy it, and you need to continue catering to that audience if you want your game to continue to be successful. So, like, I've been talking about this for a long time. I really wanted to see more, like, customization and, like, building stuff on the ships.
Yeah.
Like, where you'd be able to build your own ship that would be unique, and you'd have, like, a bin of parts that you could work from and stuff like that. I don't think they'll go that far with it, but I think that's probably what the third thing is, like, more control over the ships. Like, if you want it to not just follow the mouse and you want to actually fly the thing, you can do that.
I think so. This whole update is beyond, and it seems to be focused around the multiplayer experience. So I'm hoping it should be something along those lines. A lot of people on Reddit have been predicting space stations and that kind of thing, which would be very cool.
Like to build space stations?
Yeah, like building space stations, maybe some more updates to ships and that kind of stuff. Not really sure. But I hate to even say this, but they do have all the pieces they need to go into the kind of like games as a service model, because they already have the cosmetic upgrade system that uses the Quicksilver. They're going into the quote unquote MMO, not an MMO style of game. So I hate to say it, but maybe this third update could be another step towards that.
In his he
quote,
specifically said in the blurb that, like, it's not an MMO, it will be free to everyone.
it won't require a subscription, won't contain microtransactions, and will be free to all existing players.
Right, he says that, but
he said a lot of things.
he said a lot of
Our
things,
boy.
and you can't deny that they have all the pieces they need to start rolling out cosmetic microtransactions.
Well, that
I
wouldn't
think-
be the end of the world.
It would, but
It wouldn't be the end of the world, but it wouldn't be great. But I think that was their attempt at, like, trying to build some interest into the game without really, like, fundamentally changing its arc. Like,
Right.
it's kind of bones.
I'm just trying to think, like, what
It's possible.
defines a online multiplayer game, and it's at some point eventually comes down to some way of making continuous revenue so you can continue to update the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still like on the redemption path. Like, if
Yeah.
by the way, well,
I
no,
think
but
they
like
always will
for,
be.
for real though, I think it is like he had a really good talk at Game Developer Conference. It's like 20 minutes long, and it's worth watching for like everyone listening, because it is really good. And he talks about how, like, yeah, like, we're not we have to make it up to everyone. And like we put ourselves here, and we're coming out of kind of a dark place, and it's enriching that we're coming out of a dark place the way that we are.
To be honest, I don't think they're ever going to be out of the redemption phase.
I think they will. I think they're
I mean,
already
yeah,
very close. I think this update, I think Next was really good, and I think this could like seal the deal.
Right, but I think all it takes is one bad step.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be the butt of a
one,
joke,
like,
but
putting out microtransactions, and they are done.
yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah. So my thoughts on like what the last thing should be. I feel like, for me at least, I know apparently I'm an anomaly and enjoyed the story. At least I was okay with the story. It was a motive for me to play the game, and I finished the story, and it took like 50 hours to beat. And after that, I kind of fell off a little bit. I think some more story content would be good, personally.
Or
I agree with that.
updated story.
Yeah, I mean, they've revamped the story once before. They could revamp it again.
I mean, yeah, I would like to see that too, but I don't know if it falls into it doesn't seem to fit with the whole Beyond idea. Like Beyond seems to me like they're adding new things to go above and beyond what they already have.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. Like a new story,
Oh, like maybe that's a good idea.
like a new main quest. Because you know, like the main quest
Right.
is basically like another huge big quest.
Right, I see that. I like that idea.
I think it's a good idea.
I do want space stations though. Now that I've said it, I really want it.
Dude, that would be badass.
Dude, I want
That'd be
VR
cool.
so bad. Oh.
No, I might buy a VR headset.
It's getting bad. Like I'm thinking about it. It's no good.
There's good games out there. I mean, there's this.
Oh,
I
there's
really want to
Beat
play
Saber, dude.
Beat Saber,
Tetris Effect.
Wow, what's the game with the red dudes that I'm blanking on now?
Oh, Super Hot, very fun.
Yeah, Super Hot. I love that game. There's so many good ones now.
Yeah. Well, do we have anything else on No Man's Sky?
Negative.
Awesome.
No, I think that's it.
So, where should our viewers go beyond this screen to support our channel, Brian?
Beyond this screen?
Yeah.
Well, if you're also hoping that Sean wasn't full of shit this time, go ahead and hammer your thoughts on that down in the word box there. And like Chris said at the beginning of this video, if you go ahead and subscribe, you'll be automatically entered into a chance to win some dank Steam codes. We do have a veritable shit ton of said dank Steam codes, so if you made it to this point, you probably liked the video, so go ahead and click that subscribe button. You'll get informed with all the new shit we're coming out on the Cohesive Friendship Unit channel here. And smoke them if you got them, guys. That's all from me tonight, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Catch you guys next time.